It's already the first week of 2026, and that means New Year resolutions. I have many, but one I really want to stick to this year is to get into shape. The promise that I've made to myself is that I can take one bite from each item I bake at home. And if it's truly worth it, I can go in for a second bite. But that's where I have to draw the line. Naturally, my next New Year's resolution is to make everything worthy of a second bite, of course. As you can imagine, fried bits of dough have been around for thousands of years, all across the world. The direct ancestor of the modern doughnut comes from Dutch settlers in what is now New York City. They brought with them olykoeks, spelt Olykkoeks, which went on in English to mean oily cakes. Later versions would have holes in the middle to help them cook more evenly. I always just thought it was because American cops needed to drive with one hand and one hand holding the donut, and I thought it was just easier with there being a hole in the middle. So one of the core principles behind this channel was to make sure that although I've got years of experience making these products, I wanted to make them with hardly any equipment, or at least the same amount of equipment that most people have at home. And I didn't know how hard that would be. I'm so used to having so many things at work. Just make it a lot easier. And one of them is a KitchenAid, or a sort of a food mixer, a stand mixer. And I've never had to hand make donut dough, but it took forever. And I would recommend it because it's highly satisfying. Upon seeing my donuts, my daughters remarked on how un-donut-like they looked, because they were not flat, nor did they have any holes. But it wasn't until looking at the etymology that I realized that my donuts were as close to the originals as you could possibly get. Quite literally, donut means dough and something that resembles a nut, and that's what mine look like. So actually I'm quite proud. Don't get me wrong, I love a filled donut, or even a glazed ring donut, but it must be the memories of working at the Arts Club, which is a members club in Mayfair, started over 150 years ago by Charles Dickens. where I worked over a decade ago for a couple of years. It was at the Arts Club where every Sunday we would fry these beautiful, light, fluffy donuts flavoured ever so slightly with orange blossom and coated in sugar. And we'd send those out for a Sunday brunch trolley. And for 2 years, I would send them out with a hope and a prayer that there would be leftover donuts and Kugelhopfs, which we will be talking about at a later date. The world needs to know about Kugelhopfs, but today's all about donuts. The feeling of bringing back the afternoon tea trolley and having a few donuts to share between the staff is a memory that I will never forget. I'm sure I'll end up making all sorts of donuts on this channel. Cream-filled donuts, jam-filled donuts, chocolate-glazed donuts. But I don't think any will quite hit the spot like these beautiful sugared donuts. Now, most people think donuts are easy. Donuts are simple, and they are. But the more simple something is, the more glaring and obvious the imperfections are. And with donuts, if the dough's not made nicely, then after that, if they're not shaped nicely, and then after that, if they're not proved up nicely enough, and then if they're not fried in the correct temperature oil, one thing after the next has to be watched diligently, because if you fall down somewhere along the line, you won't get that nice shape, that nice light filling, light fluffy dough inside in the middle, and you'll end up with heavy, out of shape, over crispy or undercooked inside donuts, and you don't want that. And so it's really important to stick to every step really carefully, just to get everything, every aspect of the donut just right. In the end, my children, who are my fiercest critics, gave me the thumbs up and the seal of approval. These donuts are delightful. I had 2 bites in the end, and I managed to finish 1 donut in 2 bites, which I thought was just right. See you next time.